Just please can't listen to what I have to say rather than shoot me before I finish. Okay, listen, we have contacted, this is about independent internal auditors. We've not had one done. We've missed one period of that because Jill Weeks declined to continue doing the work generally, not just for Arlesey Town Council, but for any councils. So we needed to find a new internal auditor. We asked Central Beds for a list of their independent internal auditors for 14. They gave us a list. We contacted various people on the list, one of whom turned us down or didn't reply. Right? Now, there is one person that's prepared to do it. Right? Now, this person is not employed by this parish council, is self-employed and contracted to do their work for them. She just so happens to do the work for Elstow, Renhold and Wilson. Her name is Lizzie Barnicoat, and I have spoken to her, and she said to me, obviously, with the possible conflict of interest with an employee that we have at Arlesey Town Council, council might not feel it's appropriate, but I'm just reporting on that information because at the moment I've got no resolution to this ongoing issue of internal audit. Yeah, she does audit Stockfold Town Council as well. She does various town councils. Stockfold is the closest to us.
No, not doing Stockfold. She's not doing Stockfold.
Well, she must have done Stockfold in the past.
She's never done Stockfold.
She's never done Stockfold.
No. She was asked to do one, but the councillors said no.
Oh, right. That young lady is an employee of Stockfold Town Council.
Mr. Chair.
But I live in Arlesey.
Mr. Chair.
You never know who's in this room.
In the best will in the world, I'm sorry, no. Okay, there is an answer.
That's fine. I'm only.
You don't need to elaborate.
That's all.
There is an answer to this problem.
I
Okay.
second Councillor West's motion.
We have an agreement now.
Well, it means we can just stop now. I seconded it, so we have to put it to a vote.
Okay.
I think we need to
Can we move on with this?
I'm about to do the answer.
The other internal auditors.
There's a magazine called Clerk and
Yeah,
Council.
calm down.
Can we approach shared internal service in Hertfordshire? We deliver internal services to parishes in Hertfordshire.
Right, can you make a note of what Councillor Baines is saying?
These aren't Central Bedfordshire, these are actually the 18BC recommended.
Anyway, make a note of what Councillor Baines said and we'll try that.
Parks County Council.
Mr. Chair, there's also the fact of Clerk and Council. Other councils put adverts inside that magazine, right, for different services that they require. We can do the same. Contact them and put an advert in there for an internal auditor.
Okay, this will have to come before Council again. 23, how to shorten meetings. Right, it's 9 o'clock. Now, I think this was brought before us by Councillor Clapham. We did discuss this many months ago. I'll just give you the information that I found out from a local council, and then it's open to everybody. One of the councils very close to us has stated that they have a policy whereby the meeting lasts for 2 hours, and if it goes beyond 2 hours or is likely to exceed 2 hours, then the councillors present can agree to an extension of 30 minutes only. They won't go beyond 9:30 at night if they start at 7. And then any business that is not concluded at that time is then transferred to the following town council meeting. And that is the way that they proceed. And that actually sounds very sensible, because these meetings have a habit of dragging on till well past 11 at night. So that's, anyway, that's what I found out. So over to Councillor Clapham first.
Well, the only thing I think other than what you've just said is possibly some of the things that we have maybe monthly, we could have quarterly, such as youth council coming in, and then have them come in tonight. maybe that could just be a quarterly occurrence. You know, things that aren't essential to go on month after month.
Because this month, it's a long agenda, it's 31 items, or 32, longer than normal, because various councillors' requests for agenda items just got put on. Well, in other words, there was no...
I've said before that there are
No censorship.
items on the agenda that can be discussed through emails to councillors before the meeting and agreed. I don't see the need to have absolutely everything on here. As I said, that if emails are sent out to all councillors on some of them not so important issues, they could agree that without it having the need for it to be on an agenda.
Okay, so what do we do about the time factor? Councillor Holloway?
I'm very reluctant. It's not at all appropriate to compare the issues that we're facing with this council with others. I think this is the largest village council, I nearly said town council, that got me shocked. The largest village council pretty much in England. So to compare this with a smaller council, particularly with the matters that we're dealing with, I'm sorry, we're just not going to get through it. It's not always going to be able to get through it in 2 hours. And I don't want this agenda being selectively ordered or matters kicked off and not allowed just because it's 2 hours. And I think the idea of moving some of the materials quarterly is excellent. We should do that. The idea of using the technology is excellent. We should do that. I'm not saying that our meetings should be 4 or 5 hours. That's all. That's a royal problem. But similarly, I have no time for comparisons between the issues that we're facing, the size of this council, its preceptors, the residents, and tiny little hamlets next door. You're not comparing apples and apples.
Mr. Chair, I understand that in the Good Councillor Guide, that all council decisions have to be made in the public domain of the council and not through email. Correspondence can be sent through email, but not decisions through email. Right? All the council decisions have to be made here at the council meeting, right? Which can be challenged by any councillor who may not have email, or any member of the general public wishes to communicate on any said discretion of the council, because otherwise you might as well just turn and say we'll elect 15 people and then they can all do everything by email and have no council meetings and no public input. That is not the way forward. We want to be open and transparent, so therefore some information, right, for email decisions have to be here at the council chambers.
Perhaps we should have time limits on people and councillors when they speak. One sentence or two, but often it goes into dialogue, and therefore that takes up the time. I think there should be time limits.
Certainly not to repeat something that we've already said, just saying it in a different way.
We did spend rather a long time on compost the other week, didn't we?
Yeah, unnecessarily.
Okay, so are we making any hard and fast rules then about meetings?
I think we look through the agenda and see what we can do quarterly. There's a blood hanging fruit. That's an easy one.
Yes.
Do you can finance committee?
Anybody else with any suggestions?
One suggestion we use in my category is we have a forward-looking plan in terms of what's coming up on the agenda for each meeting, so you can count the agenda items, and that will be very helpful to see where you're going to get a long meeting potentially, so you can factor in how much available slots you've got in the future. So when sort of budgets come up, for example, you may need a bit more time to go through those agenda items. But if you plan in advance, we probably know what the common stuff will be at each meeting. So May will be the standing orders and financial regulation. done that in advance, and we know what's coming up and when it's coming up. And I think that'd be very helpful in terms of the planning of council clashings and what can then go forward with. You know, there's critical things at some point in time.
Okay.
I think
Helen's got a hand up.
one example which I find a bit concerning really is on the committee meetings, the environmental committee, we have a lengthy discussion around street lighting then. And then here we are with it on the full council and we're having another discussion around street lighting. I mean, I can't see why we keep talking about street lights. I know that they need to be
Committee don't make decisions.
there, but I don't see why we should have to have them on every meeting. I don't know why it can't all be kept
No, it
on
was
to
to
the
approve
appropriate.
of the expenditure, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but
It
it
digressed
always
a bit.
evokes,
It
it always
digressed,
evokes a discussion and a conversation, and that elongates, because we've already had a conversation at the environmental committee.
Okay.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Mr. Chair,
I think that Councillor Page has got a problem with his throat. We'll ask him what he wishes to contribute.
No disrespect, Chair, but shouldn't the Chair be directing us so that we don't digress?
I'm just about to say, obviously, you want me to be more prescriptive as to how I deal with meetings.
Hammer that gravel down rather hard.
Okay, so it appears then that no one has got an appetite for shortening the meetings to a certain length, yeah? Is that right? Councillor Frost.
At our parochial church council meetings, what we do is we set a time limit on each agenda item. Obviously, some agenda items you can't, but you could look through the agenda and say sort of time, push the time to each agenda item.
Councillor West.
Mr. Chair, some people are not on any of the committees and they wish to pass comment on an item that comes up for full council, and that is their right as a councillor, not to sit on any committee. Committees don't make decisions, they make recommendations, okay? So that's why we have the committee base that we have at the moment. Unless, of course, the council wishes to devolve powers of making decisions down to committees. And therefore, the council would not have to come back like street lighting, that would automatically go straight to the environmental committee. The environmental committee would then turn and say, yes, fix it, and it'd never come here accordingly. So that's what it would mean, devolving the power from council down to committees.
I think, David, that was a classic example of what Councillor Incontinent is talking about, which is that you get sort of a whole dialogue of conversation, which extends the meetings by several minutes every time it's
If
uttered.
you add it up, if you put a stopwatch on and timed everything was...
So we'll agree then to carry on as we are, but to try and restrict the length of time we debate things, and I'll try and be more prescriptive on that.
And council James said, going forward plan, so we're not including.
Yeah, well, a lot. I mean, there is always certain agenda items that come up at certain times of the year. That's just a normal procedure. But yeah, I mean, when I look at agendas, I let all these go on. Right? It just so happens tonight it's 9:10, and actually we're not doing too bad at the moment. We could be done by 10, which is amazing. But, so anyway, without any further ado, we'll carry on, shall we? Freedom of information, to consider a complaint received from a resident with regards to an FOI request. Who brought this up? Councillor Alden.
It's come up before as well. There's a complaint from Sandra. So, by the way, one of her requests was dealt with and answered by the clerk, and the way that the internal review was dealt with. I think everybody's had the information via email last week. The main complaint, I think, was about some comments the clerk made. The comments Sandra made on Facebook would be taken into consideration in future requests, which you can't do. So I think you need to issue an apology for that being in there to Sandra. Also, it went on that Sandra went back and forwards with the ICO and yourself about who actually gave that information. it came back that it came from the Information Commissioner's office, but they're denying it. And I think myself, I would like to know actually where it came from, because yourself said it's a data protection issue, but if it's the Information Commissioner's office, I don't see how that's a data protection issue, unless it came from someone else that isn't connected to the Information Commissioner's office.
Well, all I really know about that is what I was told by the clerk, that
You answered me by
the
email.
information that she received after talking to a representative of that office
No,
was that it was perfectly permissible to put that on the bottom of the...
No.
If you read
There
the
is
guidelines of the law,
Yeah, but Jason, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just telling you what I was told, right? That's apparently what she was told. She's sticking by that and saying that's exactly what she was told. It was perfectly permissible to put that on. And other than that, I haven't got anything else I can say about it because I don't have any further information. Councillor Encontry.
Well, I have to admit that I wouldn't expect the town clerk to respond to a letter in this manner. Yes, the request under the Freedom of Information was asking for information, and she gave her, well, she gave some information to Sandra, but to put that comment on the bottom, I think is out of order. Please note, we are aware of the comments you make on Facebook, and this may be taken into consideration when you put in future requests. Now, on what justification was that comment put on? That is pretty bad, coming from a town clerk.
Not from the council.
That's not from the council.
And I will speak up because, Chairman, you emailed me as well, so you were fully aware of everything that was going on. Fully aware.
Protection racket. Nothing
We
else.
don't want a general conversation with the public, I'm sorry about that. But,
Sorry, I know not you, is it?
whatever responses I gave you, Sandra, were the honest responses that I had at the time. I don't know any more information than that. I don't know who this person was. I don't even think she knows herself.
But she didn't speak to them because
Well, she said that she did.
The
And,
I-
you know,
that
at
office
the end
said
of the
that they
day-
wanted a copy.
At the end of the day, I can't dispute that, can I?
They wanted to carry out an internal investigation at who had said that information
So why have they
because
not
it was wrong.
They've not
Would
contacted...
I contact?
They
You
have
saw the letter from them, the email, asking me to contact you for you to ask your clerk where she got her
Yes, I did.
information from.
And she told me she didn't know, right? So they haven't...
No, that isn't what
They-
you told me.
they-
You told me to keep confidentiality.
Yes, I do. That was what she told me.
You were
She
not
said she
allowed
wouldn't-
to tell me.
She told me she would not reveal it because of that information, and also...
You just told me she didn't know it.
no, but she told me she didn't know as well.
Action. Standing on.
So,
I
Disgusting.
think we need to issue an apology to Sandra for the comments that were made, because it's false information coming from an employee of this council.
okay.
She's an employee of the council.
You on how we handle freedom of information requests, because as a councillor, I've only recently been receiving how freedom of information requests have been responded to. Up until then, I had no idea how any freedom of information was responded to.
They responded by the clerk.
Yes, I
So
know,
whoever's in
but
charge of the office at the
she
time.
responds on behalf of the council.
But that's
And
what
who are the
but
council?
that is what she's paid to do, isn't it?
Yes,
Manager,
but
then.
it's obvious because of the amount of freedom of information requests that we've had in, that there is a particular problem that needs to be addressed. It's not very open and transparent if the councillors don't even know what the reply is. Is it?
But that would lead to a delay, wouldn't it, in getting the responses out? Because there's only a certain amount of time to do these responses. You can't always get approval as councillors for the responses before they go out.
Should I get approval? She
At
said
the end of the day, we have a,
Information only.
at the end of the day, we have a quite highly paid clerk in there to do these responses on our behalf.
Quite clearly though, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Judging from the response there.
Well, it's difficult to progress that, isn't it? Because she's not even here to talk about it. and I'm not going to answer on her behalf. I'll try my best to give the response that she gave me, but other than that, I know no more than that.
What we agreed, we can send Sandra a letter of apology.
Table motion.
I propose that he send Sandra a letter of apology from the council for comments that were made in there by the town clerk.
I'll send her a response to something.
No, put it to the vote.
There's no clerk here to do it. It's not right that Leslie answers on Elsie's behalf, is it?
Councillor, please, you're overstepping the mark. There's been a motion tabled. If there's anyone who wants to second it, then we'll vote on it. That's the proper.
That's fine, I've just already agreed to do it.
And you've tried to swerve the councillor's motion in a different direction. You can't do it.
What do you mean by that?
We basically, you'll respond. We want an apology, or rather, Jason's asked. Does anyone want to second this proposal, the motion, sorry, for an apology, that we should write and apologise?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Right, okay, now we should have a vote on it. Who supports that motion? I support it. Simple as. So there now needs to be,
I'll do that.
Grant.
It would have been easy anyway, because I was going to do that in the first place. How do you think I would have responded?
I don't know, because you weren't using the words. In 2 years, I've learned that unless we get the word apology, it won't be an apology that goes out.
Okay. Can we move on from that? Mitigating the risk of staff absences. Who brought that up? Councillor Holloway?
Ah, Christ, what do I mean by that Okay, I think, talk about recruitment. Mitigating the risk of staff absences. I believe I was at the time concerned that we were making no progress with this vacancy. But I think the council agreed back in October, November, and we now exposed. We went from 3 bodies down to 2, and now we're down to 1. And of course now the advert's gone out, and I assume we're going through the recruitment process.
When we get some applications.
Fine, well that's what I wanted to discuss. So the matter's moved on.
Mr. Chair, while we're on the subject of mitigating staff absences, I brought to this council the staff bullying policy, the victimisation of staff through cyberbullying, by the way, which is a criminal offence to cyberbully somebody, and all the other things I brought. Yes, at the times when we put on the
Please keep it relevant, David.
I am keeping it relevant, and if the stress is reduced, then we will not get staff go sick so much from stress-related injuries. Illnesses. So therefore, we have to look ourselves at reducing whatever stress. And if we find that somebody is cyberbullying, okay, then we have to take actions against that person as a council.
Okay.
You were investigated by the monitor.
Excuse me, we cannot have conversations
Yes.
in public. Councillor West, please do not respond. Right, I think Councillor Holloway's covered that point. Agenda item, to consider the influence of the chairman. Who brought this as an agenda item? Councillor Hayes. Right. Well, that's stopped at an appropriate time. What do they all wish to say about that then?
Will she move on until Councillor Hayes is here?
Fair enough.
Defer it to the next week.
Resource Centre, proposal from Councillor Orban regarding waste collection at the community centre. Councillor Orban?
I spoke to Erin when I was in there a couple of weeks ago. She's having a lot of trouble getting rid of all of the waste that's coming from the resource centre. She spoke to the clerk in December about what she could do with the excess waste and asked if she could put it behind the stage. The clerk said no, it's a health and safety issue, and she was told just to leave it under the desk in the library. That to me seems like another health and safety issue to consolidate. I think we need to look at either increasing the waste collection out from the communal bin, to understand that the council office and the library and the doctors all do use the same bins, or we get an extra bin.
I believe it was just after Christmas you went into the resource centre, and it was because over Christmas the bins were not emptied, because obviously the staff weren't in. We didn't have any notification when they were going to be emptied. Subsequently, all the back waste has gone and has been put in the bins, and it is not normally a problem. It just happened to be at Christmas time.
It's not normally a problem, I think that's fine, but what do we do at Christmas? Is there any chance to double up the collection?
We didn't help because the cleaner was actually off sick at the time. She was very, very poorly with a chest infection, so normally she would have been down here to put bins out.
As long as it's not a continuing problem, that's fine.
I think it was just because of the time of year and also the sickness of the cleaner.
I would like some assurance if this was to happen again. Have we got a contingency plan in place? So what's the contingency plan if this happens again?
Mr. Chair, the bin should be out on that particular weekend, should have gone out on the Saturday, and the staff weren't working on the Saturday. That was Christmas week and New Year's week. But we have a contingency. We have another skipper which we already hire down in the cemetery. We could place rubbish within that because it would mean taking it from point A to point B. And as our vehicle itself is actually should have a licence for carrying waste, that should not be a problem.
I think we need to ensure that if the cleaner is off sick, then we have someone else that can perform that role. That's as simple as that, really.
Can we have a considered response via email to councillors? In terms of contingency plan?
Yeah.
Rather than
Yeah.
full
Yeah. I mean, that's, one of the grounds lads could have put those out.
Yeah,
It just
have an option.
wasn't communicated, was it?
So we know what the arrangements are.
Okay, you happy with that? And then 27B is to consider cover for Saturdays in the resource centre. Leslie, if you'd like to outline why this is the case.
It's because up until the end of February, we've had a relief librarian in every other Saturday, resource centre manager, and he works the other alternate ones. The admin assistant who used to work Saturdays, she was taken ill last year, as you're probably aware, and she's not prepared, she doesn't feel comfortable working in a building on her own because she might have another problem with her health. So, because the relief one is now not working after the end of February, we need to look at alternative means of keeping the resource centre open every Saturday. The resource centre manager's willing to work 3 out of 4 Saturdays. She can't work the 4th one because she hasn't got childcare, but she doesn't know time and do she would require payment for that Saturday.
Mr. Chair, there is a scheme whereby we can hire librarians, what we call temporary librarians, so we could use that scheme so we always get one in on that Saturday and just hire them for the Saturday. I believe we used when we were short-staffed from Central Beds, did we not?
Not as easy as that, though. I mean, the thought of mine was, is there any reason why, it hasn't been proposed to this particular person, but I'm wondering whether the caretaker could be used to support and probably be trained up in that role, if she was willing to do so. So that
multi-skilling and
Be aware, Mr.
so
Chair.
we've got a bit more contingency cover if anything goes wrong.
The caretaker doesn't get paid an hourly rate, she gets paid a fixed
I
monthly
know we
fee.
could overcome that, I'm just saying, it's something that
kind of details.
it's something that we could consider if, that's what you thought was appropriate.
Have we approached Central Beds now to see if they've got a bank of staff that we can tap into?
Yeah, the resource centre manager has